Hello, 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 good friends. Uh, what is it they say in the news? Shelly Ann is on assignment today. She won't be with us. She may drop in later, but at least to get started, she won't be with us. Just the three of us today. And let's get right into things. Our topic is cultivating cheer. This is the 14th of December, 2023. And this is Open Conversations with International Coaches. We come from places around the world. It's wonderful. Let's do some introductions. Cass, take it away.
Always know you're going to start with me when I'm not ready to start. I'm Cass J. Henry, a holistic life mentor in Ontario, Canada. And I'm interested in the bigger picture of what makes you, you, the mind, the body, the spirit. I work with clients when they're feeling stuck. They're looking to overcome self-doubt and manifest their dreams. I'm here to give them a new, different perspective, something that's just a little bit outside of what they can see. I work with my clients both in person here in Hamilton and virtually, and you can find me online on catastrophe.com.
Absolutely wonderful. I want to pick up on something you said there when we get started. Gerald, go ahead.
Hi there, everyone. My name is Gerald Alexander. I'm a self-image consultant, and very much like Cass, I do all of the same things, only more focusing in on who tells you these things, and it's basically ourselves. And what I've found through the years is we're our own biggest obstacle with the self-talk. So it's all about giving yourself a clear direction and removing the obstacles that's in your way.
Absolutely, it's so necessary to fix that self-talk. My name is Stephen B. Henry, and my friends call me Steve. You can too. I'm a multi-niche creative, a digital content creator, an online presence consultant, a business success guide, and a personal development mentor. That's a mouthful. And I work with those wanting to start or expand an online presence, helping them get unstuck in their business and their personal lives and move forward on their own journey of success. I'm a Canadian expat currently living in the US. You can find me at stephenbhenry.com. And we're going to get into the topic today, which is cultivating cheer, a great topic for this time of year, but a great topic to consider any time of year. I think that's important. Cass mentioned getting started on her introduction that she wasn't ready, but she did it anyway. And it's interesting, before we got started, we often, we come in at different times getting started here, and we have conversations before we go on the air at the right time. And Cass and I were just talking idea of not letting the perfect be the enemy of the good. In other words, don't wait for everything to be absolutely perfect before you get started. And I was talking about that for a different reason. And it's not part of our topic today, but it's a good little piece of advice. And it shows you, Cass stepped into that, not quite ready, but boy, she didn't fumble. She picked it up and carried on. So that's, it shows you what we can do if we focus and, as Gerald always says, have that sense of direction so that even when things aren't right, we're still ready to go. Cass, go ahead.
Well, the definition of cheer is cheerfulness, optimism, and confidence. So having the confidence to do that stuff, it totally fits in with our topic today. Absolutely.
Cheers. Yeah, love it. Good stuff. And, this is a time when we talk about being of good cheer. And I think that the whole concept of cheer is multi-dimensional. We can express feelings of good cheer. We can cheer up another person. We can bring cheer into our environment, into our tasks. We can utilize cheer as a tool for our presentations. There's just so many, and I'm only just scratching the surface. I could go on ad nauseum for the number of ways cheer can be interpreted and applied and involved. Gerald, how do you feel about cheer? There we go.
I can see exactly what you're saying there, how it's unfolding. The word, just when you talk about it, like cultivating cheer, and like how Cass had pointed out there, like it's optimism and confidence. And at this particular time of the year, like if we're focusing on like a magical spirit, magical spiritual time of the year, so that alone, the thought alone, the belief, everything's uplifting, and it gives you more confidence. It's the same as, like going back to the words that you use. Yes, I can do that. Whereas straight away, how are you ever going to do anything confidently or at all if you say I can't do that? So confidence and optimism and living our expectations, I think we forget simply that we're self-fulfilling prophecies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which comes back to what you said about self-talk, and if we embody and embrace cheer in our self-talk, then inevitably we're going to be cheerful.
Yeah, absolutely. And go ahead, Gerald.
Well, that is just like what I was saying to you last night. Funny enough, Steve, like what we think, act, and feel indicates what we are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so basic. It's so dare I use the word simple. It's just part of our common activity, our common existence, and if we embrace it, it changes our whole perspective, and we can work and I can't think of the word here. Words are important, but we can express. That's what I wanted. Gratitude. It's wonderful. Cass, go ahead.
And when we indicate, it's like we're using that. It's what we're focusing on, what we're thinking about, acting, what we're feeling is indicating what we are. Whereas indicating is what we're focusing on. So what we're thinking about, how we're acting because of the way we're thinking that way and the way we're feeling is all got to do with the direction that we're focusing our thoughts and the words.
Yeah, I was going to bring in the notion of self-care with cheer, the idea that you can't pour from an empty well. So you need to do that self-care piece to fill your own cup so that it's overflowing and you can spill that cheer over onto those around you. Because if you are not feeling that, if your focus isn't on cheer, then what you're spilling isn't going to be cheer. An example is this morning, I had a very unlike myself conversation on social media in which all I was doing was complaining because the people downstairs had an alarm blaring, beep, 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 for over 25 minutes. And it was ruining my morning. But if I had instead said, wow, they're having a rough time getting up, their morning's probably not going the way they want it to, what can I do for myself to calm and come back to level in my own morning instead of focusing on that? So I could focus on being more cheerful and instead of spreading that not so cheerful that I did on social media.
Yeah. And we are slaves to our environment, and it is really quite amazing how little things in the environment can affect you. I've noticed this particularly in the last few days, and I'm not sure why. Maybe because the air is colder, and so sounds travel differently. But we are here in central Kansas, and Hutchison in particular, the two great railways in America that go east to west or west to east, originally the Northern Pacific and the Southern Pacific, and of course they have been bought out and merged many other railways together, but there's still these two cross-continental lines. And we think of them as going across the north of the country and across the south of the country, but they actually dip towards the middle here at Hutchison. And Northern Pacific line goes across Hutchison And where, if you take a map of the United States and put your finger on what appears to be the middle of the United States, you're putting your finger right on Hutchison. We're actually, I don't know, a 35, 40-minute drive from the geographical center of the U.S. And those railways go across to the north, go through Chicago, and then they dip south and come through Hutchison and then go back north and go across. And the same from the south, they go across and they come up and into Hutchison and across and south. And Hutchison and a mile or so, or kilometer and a half or so out each side, these two railways run parallel. And at one point, they're actually single tracks side by side that simply look like a double track railway, but it's actually two separate railways. In Hutchison, they're about a block, about a city block apart, where they cross through the city. And they're 15 blocks south of here, 14 blocks south of here. So we can hear the trains at night. And of course, across Kansas, we get a lot of big, long freight trains, big hopper cars carrying grain. This time of year, the grain harvest is past being in. It's in the silos. It's being shipped out in cars, and all across the Midwest, they're assembling cars with grain, and these huge long trains go through, and you get the clack 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 on the rail joints, and they blow their whistles at every crossing. And we have had a couple of accidents here recently, fatalities. And so they blow their whistles at every crossing. In the daytime, I don't hear the whistles. They're there, and I've actually gone out and sat on the porch and listened for them, and yep, they're there. But you don't hear them because there's so much other ambient noise. You're busy, you're focused on things, you're doing things. But when you're lying in bed awake at 2 a.m. and you can't fall asleep, you hear every blast at every intersection as that train goes across. And when they're coming into town, they blow the whistle several times. Hey, I'm here, I'm coming, I'm here. And they let you know. And you hear it. Now, why is that? It's the same intensity whistle, but you're focused on different things.
I was going to bring into that the preparation of routines and habits, and maybe having earplugs beside you at bedtime to pop in for those trains might be one of those things that you work into your routine. Because I wanted to talk about how you can always wake up on the right side of the bed. Instead of starting your morning frustrated, you can plan the night before for every morning. You can have, if you have medications or if you have water that you want to have in the morning. I recently started journaling in the morning, and you can have that all set up for you the night before if you build that into your nighttime routine. And then you're not stumbling in the morning. You are waking up prepared and ready for a successful day. And that's part of how you can work cheer into a routine or habit.
Go ahead, Gerald. I think you were going to comment there.
Yeah, following on from what Cass was just saying there, I was watching a show last night, and it was all about people who've achieved climbing Everest. And one of the people, I forget what you call them, one of the guides, chaperones or whatever, she was giving an exercise, one of the ladies from Norway, the first lady from Norway to actually climb it. And she says, like, you get up first thing in the morning and clasp your fingers together and put them up above your head and smile. And put a big wide smile on, from ear to ear. And she says, straight away that's releasing the serotonin and it's getting the start going. And she says that, because many times you're getting up and you're cold and you've got a sore head at the different climates, but that's a good way to start it. And I've also found that it's a good way to plan your day before you go to sleep. And then if you're waking up and think about gratitude, then you're thinking you're nudging your brain into thinking about positive things, and then be looking forward to what you had to get planned to that following day. And then going back to what I had to say before Cass had made the last statement there, it was, we're hearing an awful lot about the exterior environment. And when we're talking about cultivating cheer, you know, we're really hearing how a lot of our environment, it does highly influence our life. I know that we study an awful lot of stuff and it's from within and don't let the environment, but it is challenging, isn't it? You know, some of these examples that we've brought up, you know, like the railway. And then once again, once you start talking about the railway and then how it kind of was a slippery slope, because it went from like the clattering and then the whistling and then the fatalities. And it's like, and that was just after Cass had been saying maybe she shouldn't have been sharing, you know, like all these things on social media. But you can build a story out of it as soon as you get on the wrong direction or on that slippery slope.
Yeah,
So
it affects us.
The environment. We need to. I think maybe that'd be another day we could talk about environment and how it's effective to our lives.
Absolutely.
How we cope with it.
Well, you know, and it's getting on our looking at our topic, cheer, and our previous topic we had gratitude, which works into it. These are things that, you know, it's like everything else. Practice makes perfect, or practice at least makes it palatable. And we need to practice in our lives. We need to deliver things even before they're comfortable, even before they're good, to get them going and develop that habit. Gerald, you've talked about habits many times, and Shelley Ann is a habit and gratitude coach. She teaches the concepts of habit, and we need to employ that in our lives. And all of us, no matter what we're doing, no matter what level we're at in our own particular silo, and as we engage with others, we are all affected by our environments. And in an international world like this, where here are three of us coming from distinctly different places around the world, and four of us when Shelley Ann's here, another distinctly different place, we all have distinctly different environments, and yet we come together in a conversation. And I was thinking about this the other day, thinking back on our topic on communication, that the difference in communication post-COVID is that we now regularly communicate. Yeah, we were doing webinars and group sessions and so on online pre-COVID, but it wasn't the major thing. We were gathering together. We would go out, for entertainment together, whatever it was, whether it was a bar or a movie theater, whatever, there'd be people. We'd talk to people. Depending on who you are, you'd stand silently in line, or you might engage with the person in front of you or behind you. You'd be in groups and talking around a table. And you were all sharing the same environment during the conversation. So the effect of the environment, it might have been interpreted differently by each person, but it was nonetheless the same action, for us as we were there. But right now, we're sitting here in three different countries. It's three different times. It's three different weathers. It's three different ambient sounds within our houses. If we were all sitting in the living room together, it would be the same ambient sounds, but it's three different sets. And so our group conversation isn't affected by one environment. It's affected by as many environments as there are us. And that changes the approach. So you have to be willing to overcome your own environment and be aware and tolerant of the other environments. And so it changes. And cheer is kind of an infectious thing. When we smile, the smile is infectious, and we impart it to others. It's almost like a yawn. You yawn and somebody else picks it up, and you can even do that over Zoom. I don't know if you've noticed that or not, but that yawn trigger works that way. The smile trigger works that way. As I was talking, Cass smiled, and it makes me feel more smiley. I was already smiling, but there's a reflection back, and it makes me feel even better. That work within a community, we've talked about that too. Within a community, cheer is important. Do you think?
We have mirror neurons in us, in our brains, that are specifically there to mirror those around us, to have that communal feeling of your peers. So when you bring that cheer, you are bringing cheer to others, and they bring it to you at the same time. You sort of tipped into something that I wanted to make sure got mentioned, not necessarily this early before we parted, I guess, but two important points that I wanted to bring up. One was that we're talking about cheer, but it's okay to not be cheerful. It's okay to have a full range of emotions. It's okay to have something upset you so much that you feel depressed. It's okay to get angry. All of those emotions, grief, they're healthy. They're part of the human experience, and it's okay not to always feel cheerful.
Yeah.
And
that's
when
powerful,
you're ready,
by the way. Think about that, folks. That's amazing. Go ahead.
And when you're ready, there are people in your life who are there to be cheerful with you. There are people who want to bring you back to cheer from these other emotions, who are waiting to share that with you again. And the second point is, if you're looking for cheerfulness in cultivating it in more parts of your life, you have to remember that it's not going to happen overnight. Just because you do all the things that people talk about to be cheerful, it doesn't mean that you're going to be the epitome of cheer immediately. You have to give yourself time. You have to cultivate the mindset of cheerfulness and recognize, like the environment, life, our journey is full of pitfalls. And so, remembering things like self-care to help you during those pitfall moments will bring you back to cheer.
Yeah. Let me share something on that regard, because I think it's important. And we're not here as a group to really, sell. That's not what this is about. We don't have big programs that at the end of each session we promote a big program. We do a little bit of promotion. We're in business. And so from time to time, we'll mention things that we're doing. I've got a big announcement coming up, maybe next week, maybe the week after. But I just want to share that all of us, the three of us here, and Shelley Ann in her absence, we are all professional coaches. The professional part means that we offer our services for a fee, and we're all affordable. And I know that depends on your particular, place and income. We all work with other coaches, with leaders, people who want to be leaders in their field, whatever that may be. We cover a range of disciplines, and we're here to help. So if you're listening to this and any of our sessions and something catches your ear and you say, "Oh, I could use that," reach out. We're that's another thing is we're approachable. So I use this phrase from time to time. I'm available, I'm approachable, and I'm affordable, and I think that applies to all four of us. And we're interested in helping you. And I personally believe myself that every person who is building an online presence, a business, a personal blog, sharing something, giving it away, whatever it is, if you're building an online presence, there's more for you to do, more for you to be cheerful about, that you need help. And each of us can provide help in a range of areas. Most of us are, multi-talented and multi-experienced, and we bring a lot to the table. And we're here. And, particularly I have 2 spots open going into the new year. Love to have somebody who's come to us through this presentation talk to me. So reach out. Cass, we were just talking the other day, and I know you have a couple of spots available. And Gerald, you've been putting together a community of leaders or people who want to be leaders. And that's so encouraging to me because the world needs leaders. So we're all looking in our own different areas. I can't speak specifically for Shelly Ann in terms of numbers, but I know she's open to new clients as well. So it's that process, whatever it is our topic is for the given session, it spills into the idea that we all need help. I have mentors. Gerald and Cass, I know you both have mentors. Shelly Ann has mentors. And whether you call it a mentor, a coach, or a guide, or whatever phrase you use for it, we all have people that we can turn to. And we all need people that we can turn to. Gerald, I'm going to turn this over to you in just a second to talk a little bit about loneliness and being separate. That we've, because I know that's a key area that you're interested in, and COVID shook up the world in a way it has not been shaken for a long time, and it's like a snow globe. You shake it and the shake causes a whole lot of turmoil, but then when you set it back down, the stuff is still in turmoil and moving, and the snow falls for a long time, and we're in that snowfall period now. So being of good cheer, not just because of the season, but because we all need it, coming out of that separation, that loneliness. I saw a statistic yesterday: 4 out of 5 students at levels in schools are suffering from loneliness. Wow, that really caught me. I don't have anything in front of me to give you facts and figures on, but just that there would even be a consideration of that is heavy, and they need to have cheer in their life. And as Cass said, they need to have somebody who will bring that cheer in. Gerald, talk to me about your thoughts and philosophy on the status quo now after coming out of COVID.
Well, I think it's more like going back to focus. And what we're talking about here is, we kind of wandered a wee bit from cultivating cheer onto our environment, and then it's going back to focus again. And what I've kind of learned for myself is not necessarily to be looking for the light, but to be the light. And how do you do that from within? Because it's easy when you're looking for it and you can't find it, and then it's easy to be, that's kind of justifying ourselves again. It's somebody else's fault for not putting the light switch on, for not smiling. It's their fault for the way I feel. Well, we've got to really be looking at ourselves and have a future and understanding, having a sense of direction. What do we want? If we don't like where we are just now, get a wee bit of enthusiasm into our life and get striving towards something, to feel more worthy. I think since COVID, and since the lockdown, there's an awful lot of depression and anxiety, and which is a lack of self-worth and self-esteem. And it's basically because I believe people have just get too lazy. They're just they're spoon-fed. Whereas they sit in the house, that they're not going out and doing anything. They're not feeling good about themselves. They're not getting the exercise in, and the world's changed. And like that example that you gave about the snow globe, that's how many thoughts are going through our brains on a daily basis, and they're all firing about like that once we shake it. And we need to kind of settle it down, or sit it down and let it settle down, and let our brains slow down and think, what am I doing with my life? Am I happy? I don't even know if I'm happy, because I don't even know what I'm doing. Where am I going? Get a sense of direction, and get a bit of enthusiasm and start moving toward it. It says, through psychological studies, that we're at our happiest when we're striving towards something that we want and desire. And then Tony Robbins also says that happiness is progress. If we feel as though we're moving toward something that we don't want, I mean, when we talk about our environment, I would say I like who is it? Jim Rohn. He says, if you don't like something, move. You're not a tree. You're not planted there. So it's all about reaching in and finding out and understanding that reflection in the mirror, because we talk to ourselves more than anything else, and an awful lot of it is not good.
We talk ourselves into depression, don't we? That negative talk, that negative self-talk, that is just kind of in the background sometimes, and you're trying to do something, you're trying to move forward, and you can't do that, and we get it reinforced by the people we love and trust, who will tell us freely, you can't do that. Oh, don't even consider that. That's silly. And we get that kind of thing. It's hard in our lives to find people that will support us, will encourage us, and will, tell us not just you can't do that. Maybe that's valid information. Maybe you can't do that. But don't just tell me you can't do that. Share what you think I can do, or share how to help me do what I want to do. Those kinds of things can bring cheer to people instead of bringing them down. And
I think, Steve, what more and more so, like 90% of our life is guided and driven from the subconscious mind. And when you say it's reassured some of this negativity from our younger days, or our relatives, or those people don't necessarily have to be present anymore, because they're in our subconscious mind, and we really have to steer, not so much guide, but really steer, take it by the reins, and guide that self-talk, how we're talking to ourselves. If I'm feeling this way, then it's myself. What am I telling myself? Because I'm responsible for how I feel. Like the thoughts and a picture, words. What is it? A picture paints a
thousand words. Yeah,
it's worth 1,000 words. So then the words, every single word, if you break it down to the thoughts and words that we say and feel and believe, then we're the one that's steering that horse, or whatever you want to call it, or driving that train, or driving the car. We're the one that's putting our foot on the accelerator towards that or towards that. I mean, the bottom line is, I've spoke many years ago, or a long time ago, Steve, about people taking more responsibility, and now more than ever before, they have to stand on their own 2 feet and stand up and remove themselves from the environment, because it seems as though most of the people in the environment are wandering about aimlessly, and they're just getting in that person's way. Sorry. Go ahead, Kat.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, this is where affirmations come in, right? That language, those words, that positive present tense of what you believe, or what you are cultivating that you believe. I am full of joy, or I can do anything I put my mind to, or I'm strong and capable. Those kind of things that you get to rewrite that script that's inside of you, instead of saying, oh, I'm a failure, I can't do this. One of my biggest mantras is, I've got this, or you've got this. And it's a little less specific than an affirmation would be, but I find it uplifting, and I find it to be the type of thing that empowers me forward, to say, hey, I thought I didn't have this, but no, I really do. I can do this. Bringing it back to trains, the little train that could, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can, the whole way. Well, just say that you can.
Yeah. It's not I think I can. I can. And in fact, more than that, it's I am. I think that when you understand the power, it comes back, Gerald, to the words. The right words are so important. And again, back to the idea of having a coach, a guide, a study buddy, a mentor. You have the ability to do it all yourself. But why do it all yourself? It's so much easier when you have a helping hand. One person can lift a weight. Two people can lift more than twice that weight. It's amazing when you think of the Old West. We do here. We're in it. You think of stagecoaches going across the country, or wagons. All the commerce goods that were sold in general stores in small towns all across this country were carried by big four-wheeled wagons, and they were drawn by teams of horses. An individual person might only own one horse to draw his buggy, and he would carry himself and his family with that, maybe with one horse. The horse and buggy or buckboard or carriage extended the horse. Instead of the horse carrying one person or maybe two, it could now carry 4 or 5 in the wagon behind it. But when it came to a big commerce load, it took more than one horse to pull it. 2 usually, or 4. 4 on most stagecoaches because they could build up more speed that way. But on most wagons that were handling commerce goods, 2 big draft horses were enough. 1 draft horse might not even be able to pull that wagon. 2 draft horses could do it, and when their power was together, they used to train the draft horses. They didn't just take any 2 horses out of the corral and put them together and do them. They trained them as pairs. They worked together as pairs. Because when you take those 2 draft horses and put them on a wagon, they can pull a certain weight, more than twice what the 1 draft horse can pull. But when you train them to walk in step and pull that weight together, they again increase the amount that they can pull. Here we have a lot of parades, and one of the big beer companies has a wagon with big barrels on it. It's all part of the structure of the wagon as a float for the parade, and they have this big team of 6 draft horses that pull it. And if you watch that in the parade, those draft horses all walk in step. They've been trained as draft horses. They work together. And that's where, if you find a good coach that will work with you and work together in step, partly they will help bring you into step. Partly they will listen to you and get into step with you. And when that starts to happen, it's amazing the power that it brings together and what you can do. I think that's good.
Could I just jump in here,
Yeah.
Steve, a second? When you're saying like a coach or an environment, once again, or a community, and just before I kind of catch on to your wagon scenario there, affirmations, I forgot to say about that, Cass, so powerful. Anybody watching this, look up affirmations, because pretty much that's what we're doing. It's all about self-talk, and they are just incredibly powerful. So if you don't understand about affirmations, reach out. Information is pretty much at our fingertips. It's never ever been available as easily as it is today. To give yourself a sense of direction, and also where to take benefit if you're listening to this, is reach out and ask us. Maybe we're not covering a specific subject, but we could maybe tell you where you could find out if we can. We could tell you where to go and give you a helping hand to give you that sense of direction. And none of us cover that, but we know somebody who does, or where you could get more information on that. Now, back to the environment that we were talking about in your wagon wheel thing. I heard a story about, I believe, I'm not sure in where it started, but I believe it was an exposed tree, and somebody who made wagon wheels, and they kept the trees exposed, to all the weathers, all the changes, to toughen them up, because they were the ones that they wanted to use for the wagon wheel. And the normal tree in the forest wasn't strong enough to do the wagon wheel. So I think if we can use that to today's environment after the post-COVID, when people are maybe a wee bit too soft, and not that tough tree, and and maybe turn that into a positive, the COVID and the lockdown and the example you were given, how it's made us grow onto like computers and be able to communicate with technology, things that we never looked at before. Whereas if we look at the changes that's happened and use it to strengthen us and not look at it, the poor me syndrome. We all went through it, but we need, that's why I'm looking for leaders to pull us out of it, to throw that escape from the rat race, which is one of my programs, and pretty much throw them a lifeline, because the definition I only recently found out of a snowflake is somebody who can't handle much pressure. They just melt at the least wee bit of pressure. And so we need to toughen up our society, to help each other pull ourselves out of this post-COVID scenario.
That's a really good point for me to pull us back to cheer and pulling each other out. I had a list, and I just wanted to share a couple of them about how to build cheer with others when they're down and out. Yeah. And the first thing is to definitely ask the person if that's something they want. Some people need to be able to feel those tough feelings and to be able to process them and work through them. So just jumping in front of them and wanting them to be cheerful can actually not be a good thing for them. So find out if they want it, be there for them. And then there's a lot of options. You could do something really simple together, like go on a swing set or get ice cream or something that might be childlike, like build a fort. These simple things can actually bring us into an earlier stage of in our mind, so that we are less likely to be ruminating or depressed or worried about our responsibilities, because we're thinking childlike ways, because in those days we didn't have the same responsibilities that we have now. Another option might be to take a tech break. We're all so connected. We walk away from the computer, we've got our phones, we have meals, and we're all on our phones, not talking to each other. So taking a time of a weekend or a week, whatever your set time is, having a tech break can actually encourage you to have more interactions face-to-face with the people around you, which can be cheerful. And then maybe I'll just one more here. Do a random act of kindness together. So this is about gifts. It can be a gift of time. It can be a gift of effort. It can be a physical gift. I know a lot of people that make little crochet items that they leave around for people that sort of say, hey, I'm just a positive memento for you to take with you. And so the gift is more about giving than receiving. So those are just a couple little things that you could do to help bring cheer back.
I think a simple one to throw in there is a smile, and just go out and be pleasant. It seems as though the law of attraction attracts positive people. Up, vibrant, smiling does attract those. And as you were mentioning earlier, Steve, a smile is contagious. If you can put a smile in someone else's face, straight away, automatically the nature, our body releases that serotonin, the chemical from the brain, just because that person smiled. And then that makes us feel good about ourselves, because we made that person feel good because we made them smile. Darn.
Reciprocity, give and take. Yeah, it's powerful, very, very powerful. It's we've touched on so many things that aren't cheer precisely, but all fold into cheer. Cheer is that focal point. Touch on focus again, but all these different things, and what I think we discover each week, as we here in the presentation, as we research the material, we look up meanings of words, we find other conjunctive things, we discover that all of these topics are not individual. None of them are. We have not spoken on a topic in all of these sessions that we've done ever that is individual and by itself. Every one of them interacts with every other one of them in one way or another, mostly positive. Sometimes they butt heads, and the topics I'm referring to. And we find ways that they will fit into each other and work with each other. And it's amazing to me that some of the topics we've covered I haven't actually spent a lot of time thinking about in the past, but it opened my eyes to how they interact with other things as we build layer upon layer upon layer of these topics that we're talking about. And I encourage you folks, if you're new listening to us, go back and listen to the other presentations. Go on YouTube and look us up, Open Conversations with International Coaches, and that'll take you into our YouTube channel. And these recordings are saved there automatically under the submenu Live. If you click on that, if you go in there and look, you'll find a couple of posts, but you might think, well, where are they? And click on Live. That'll open up the list of the ones we've been doing on a regular basis here. And go back and listen to some of them. Yeah, they're an hour long and some boring stuff in them, perhaps. But mostly there's a lot of stuff to share and take advantage of that will be useful for you, and especially if you're a coach. That's an important thing, to keep expanding your horizons, bringing in new things, not only new knowledge, but new ways of using the knowledge. And we do share a lot of that here. So I encourage that. I've learned from every one of these sessions while I'm in them. One time I couldn't be here, and I actually went and watched the session afterwards, and I was amazed at how much was shared and how much I could draw in from it. But I've been around a long time, and I've got stories to share, but I've got things to learn. The more, as it's often said, and I understand it, the more I learn, the more I know I have to learn. And there's so much that gets shared, and we're all different personalities. We share combinations of things, but we don't share everything. And I'm not referring to sharing outwardly. We do share everything, but the fact that we have things within our personalities, we have knowledge that is built upon us. We're not. I guess it's rather than share, I should say it's not a commonality. It's not consistent across the board for the four of us. We're not duplicate puppets. We're not little hand puppets that are all the same. We each bring something different to the table here. So I know I'm learning all the time. Anybody who's not learning from what we're sharing isn't listening. That's what it comes down to. And in many cases, we don't listen. Every one of us, me included, we need to open up and listen to what's around us in our environment. We want to close out the chaos, but we want to listen to the detail. Go ahead, Gerald.
And how we close out the chaos is what we're focusing on, because at this time of year, the word seek, seems to fit right into Christmas time and seeking cheerfulness. But we really need to be understanding what it is we're looking for and to be seeking the information, like understanding what you have to know what you want in order to use the positive affirmations, like to use the proper words in those affirmations to guide you towards what you're looking for, and to understand like how those affirmations, seeking what you want, focusing on what you want, and it's our responsibility. Whereas understanding that the power of the subconscious mind, it's an amazing tool that we've all got, and it's like our crew that's available to us, and we're the captain. We're the one that's focusing. We know where we want to get to, and through our words and our thoughts and our behavior, we're relating to the crew. This is what we're going to do, and they're like, aye, sir. and they just get on with it. You know, so don't waste that subconscious mind, that great crew that you've got there that's willing to just go to work 24/7 and help you get what you want. Have a clear sense of direction so that when you're moving there, you're going through the process and making the progress, you're building confidence, and you're feeling worthy.
Worthy.
I think it's just kind of wrapping it all up, like in what we're talking about here, because it is a wee bit kind of, whereas it's what are we doing from that's like what are we doing with all these colours that we've got? What picture are we painting using them? You know, from our environment, from our thoughts, from the tools we have available. What are we painting? As you'll know, Steve, with your water paintings, what lovely picture do you want at the end of it? It's this. My favourite one is what's his name? Help me here, Cass. Who's the one that chipped away the stone, the marble stone with the Angel of David? Da Vinci? Was it? Not Da Vinci.
Yeah, I think Da Vinci, yeah.
What was it? And whereas so basically it was just given a piece of stone, and that's pretty much what we've been given, and it's up to us to chip away and break away and bring out from within that stone.
Michelangelo.
Yeah. We got it.
That came out of the universe. That came out of the universe together. Yes. Yeah. Good stuff. You know, there's a story about a sculptor who was producing out of smaller blocks of marble, producing beautiful statues of elephants and selling them in the marketplace. And people commented on how great an artist he was and how beautiful these elephants were. And they asked him, how do you create such a beautiful elephant? And he said, well, I take the block of stone and I start chipping, and I chip away everything that doesn't look like an elephant. And wow, you know, that's what we need to do in our lives. But you're right, Gerald. First, we have to find out what it is we want. There's some dichotomy in that. I didn't figure out what I wanted to be when I grew up until maybe 10 years ago. And, you know, it might be said that if I'd figured it out early, I would have had a whole life of doing what I want to do. But first of all, the technology wasn't there. What I do is supported by technology. And I mean, I'm an online presence consultant, and without online, there would be no consulting. There would be no online presence. So I couldn't have done what I really want to do, what I discovered that I really wanted to do, you know, when I was graduating from college. I couldn't have done it. So my experience through my life led me to this, but the environment led me to this too. Technology's growth. I mean, I was there. My first experience with computers was at Waterloo University in their huge computer room with all these mainframe computers, working on a punch card machine, coding Fortran into the computer. And I mean, that's so totally different than what we do today and what I love doing. I was fascinated by that, but I certainly didn't love it and didn't want to do it. It did not become a career. So things changed. And as things came along, when I was working for a company and I was looking for a personal computer for them, a small office computer that would mainly do their accounting. And there wasn't such a beast. It didn't exist. The personal computer wasn't out yet. Even the kit version of it that eventually came along wasn't out yet. So I was there BC, as we've talked, Gerald, before computer. I was
there. There. I was going to bring that in because I've been having a laugh with a lot of people, you know, about BC. And straight away, everyone thinks like before Christ, but it's before computers.
Yeah, and what we're really talking about is BPC, before personal computer, and that really is before personal computing. And your phone is a computer. I mean, we've just shrunk things down. It happens to make phone calls. It's replaced the telephone. It isn't a telephone. It's a computer. that has
But
the
it's the
ability
whole
to make
idea
calls.
how quickly things are changing, and
Oh,
we've got
yes.
more and more opportunities to do with what no, but it's like it's pretty much slowing down to move forward, and understanding. Like one of the other funny ones I get is like our grandchildren in maybe like 10 years time, 20 years time, I'll be saying to us about cars. You actually drove it?
Yeah.
You used
You had to
fossil
steer it
fuels?
yourself. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's going to be, it's just amazing. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, if you get to the fine point of it, the Apple Watch isn't a watch. It's a computer, a small computer that we strap to our wrist that happens to tell time. So, you know, we've taken these things that we think we have and we've changed them so dramatically that they're no longer what they used to be. And it's going to change our perspective as we get into these things. Cass, I think you've been kind of itching to get in there with something you wanted to share. No? We're kind of running to the end of our session here. So go ahead, Cass. I'll put you on the spot again to wrap things up with what we've covered. Your last thoughts on it.
My last thoughts. I think the piece is about filling your cup with cheer. That if you are taking it in, then you are exuding it to those around you. So doing the things that bring you joy, doing the things that make you feel alive, the things that you love. Do more of those that as you can, and that will fill your own cup, and then you will spilleth over onto others. That's the cheer for me.
Wonderful. Gerald, your last thoughts on it?
Yeah, I would just like to pretty much say like how we talked about like the power of affirmations. If you're not up to date with affirmations, have a good look at an understanding of that, and the power of intention. When know like that, like what we're going to focus on, what do we intend to do? You know, so the power of intention is so incredible as well, and pretty much like on that note, that I've got that course, the 21 day that's free for 21 days, and how to about focus, you know, the power of what you're focusing on. And the reason why I've given it away for 21 days is because if you focus on something over a 21-day period, you'll create a habit from it. You know, and then a habit is something that you've done so frequently that you do it unconsciously because you've pretty much filed it in your subconscious mind. And there's the more we want to do, well, the less we've really got to think about it, you know, so that we can focus on progress and not just staying and rethinking and doing over and over and over the same thing like Groundhog Day, because we're born here to create and move forward. Yeah. Chin up, shoulders back, forward.
Yeah.
That's it. And we would say tits out. If you haven't seen the show, don't be offended.
Yeah, if we can, you know, if we can create habits, that's one of the things that comes into time management too, is that when you take things that are using up your time and you make them into habits, they take less time, which frees up more for you.
And folks, attention management, right?
Yeah, attention management, exactly. And let me concur that you should take a look at Gerald's free course on focus. It's an ideal opportunity, and the price is certainly right. You can't complain with that. Let me wrap up by saying the one word that stood out of this whole session today in regards to cheer is being worthy. You are worthy of good feelings of cheer, and that absolutely stood out to me. And one other thing I want to comment on is affirmations. We all talk about affirmations from time to time. I'd actually like to suggest that our topic next week be affirmations, partly because we've kind of hit on it pretty hard today. And unfortunately, there are good affirmations and bad affirmations, and very bad. Affirmations are powerful. And like anything else that's powerful, it has to be used with care. And it can do a lot of harm if it's done wrong. And there are people out there who are not properly trained who are teaching harmful affirmations. And then other people are wondering, why doesn't it work for me? Or why are things going in the wrong direction? So I think I'd like to talk about them next week in detail.
I'm on board with that.
Yeah, and with that, we want to wrap this up. Thank you, everybody, for coming, for putting up with us. We kind of ramble on a lot of things. Our process here is to share and to help. Look us up if you need somebody. One of us can be available. If you don't like one of us, don't like any of us, we can send you to other people that are good. We know people that are helpful and may not be the same as us. you may not fit. That's okay. You're different. We're different. But do look us up, comment, share your thoughts, and look forward to seeing you next week. Same time, same place. Bye-bye, everybody.